Hello and welcome to Blossom Sandwich Sews. My name is Yvette and today I've got a tutorial for you. So I'm joining in with the hashtag A Gift to November, which is a challenge being organised by Alison from Sew Like Dotty and Adam from Adam Sews this month. So I've got a really super simple tutorial to make a hair wrap or towel turban. So this is the first kind of top-down tutorial that I have filmed. So please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and let me know what you thought in the comments, whether you think I should do more types of videos like this. So I have created the pattern using a hair wrap that I already own, so I just traced around it, but there is a pattern available from Scattered Thoughts of a Crafty Mum, so I will put that in the description as well if you are interested in making your own but you don't have a one already to make the pattern from. And I think it just makes a really easy project and a great gift for anyone you know that has hair, especially if they don't fancy blow drying it all the time. So yeah, let's get straight on with the tutorial.
So I'm starting out with my hair wrap that I've already got, and I'm just laid it out on my tracing paper. So I'm using a ruler to draw a straight line along the bottom, and then I'm just going to trace around the edge. So this is constructed of just a front and a back that are the same shape. So I'm just going to trace out this one pattern piece, add seam allowance to it, and then I'll have my pattern ready to go. So I'm using the Generate Seam Circles to add 1 centimetre of seam allowance to the top edge of my pattern. So as you'll notice here, there are 2 different 1 centimetre seam allowance. So the difference is that the one with the S has a small hole, and I kept sharpening my pencil and it wouldn't fit through the hole, so I need to use the wide hole to get my 1 centimetre seam allowance. So here I am just adding my 1 centimetre seam allowance with my seam circle. So you just run the edge of the circle along your line and it will make the perfect distance for adding 1 centimetre seam allowance. So I'm just going to do that around the top edge, and you'll see why I'm doing that in a minute. So next up, I've got to cut out my pattern pieces. So I find it easier just to roughly cut them out, and then I can pick it up and cut it out neatly. So now that's all cut out and I've got my pattern piece ready to go. So now let's get the fabric. So I'm actually using a hand towel to create my hair wrap. So hand towels are generally around 85 centimetres by 50 centimetres, something like that. But you could also use some sort of terry cloth material or microfiber fabric, and you would need less than 1 metre for this project. So I am just lining up my pattern piece with the edge of the towel. This means that I won't have to hem the inside bit that's going to go against my face, because I can just use the hemmed edge of the towel. And I'm just using my rotary cutter and my cutting mat to cut out. This is my preferred method of cutting. So there we go, that's the first piece. And this is what I mean about the edge of the towel, so I won't have to do the hem. Now I'm just going to flip it up the other way and put the pattern piece down on the other way. So this means I have not too much scraps left. If you wanted, you could use the leftovers to make flannels or maybe some kind of like cleaning cloths or something like that, if you really wanted to make the most out of the fabric. So this is just the back, so I'll have cut out the front and the back, and that's basically all I need for this really simple project. So now I can just line up the front with the back. And what I'm going to do is just sew 1 centimetre from the edge, because remember we added that 1 centimetre seam allowance. So now that is sewn, and I've overlocked it as well to stop it from fraying. I've got my nice hemmed edge that I didn't need to do anything to. So this is what it looks like from the outside. So now let's get our original one back to compare. It's looking pretty similar, which is good because that's what it's based on. So now I need to add a button and then a little elastic loop, and then it's done. So I'm just checking my stash hub for what I like to call orphan buttons, which is buttons where I've only got one of them because they're not that useful for most projects. So I've got this Pigeon Wishes one, but it's quite big. So maybe not that one. And then I've got an orphan button of this cream one, but it's a bit boring. Yeah, that one, that could work, but I think I'm going to go for this lovely orange one, which I got from Ethel and Joan. So I think the orange on the green is going to look really nice. I'm just checking that off as used because that's the last button. So here it is. I've got it out for my button stash. And yeah, I think it looks really nice against the green. I like to choose a thread that matches the button colour rather than the background fabric. I think it just helps the buttons pop a bit more and doesn't break them up too much. So I'm using the thread doubled in half so that there's a loop on the end that I can loop the thread through so that it doesn't come unravelled. And I'm using a slightly thicker needle because this fabric is quite thick and I don't want to be bending a needle in half. So what I'm going to try and do here is create a shank for this button so that it will stand out a bit more from the fabric. So I'm wrapping the thread around the thread that's holding the button to the fabric, so this just gives it a bit more height and the elastic will go around it a bit more easily. So you can sort of see here what it looks like. So on the original, the elastic is inserted into the seam allowance. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to unpick this hem so that there'll be a little gap for me to stick the elastic in, so I won't get any raw edge of elastic. And then I've just sewn over that. I don't have a perfect thread match, but it's not going to be that noticeable from the outside. So now I need to do the same for the other side, and let's have a reveal. Yeah, I've got the button, I've got the elastic. It's all finished and ready to go. So this was a super simple project and I didn't even have to buy anything because I used a towel that I already had. So now it's time to model it. So let's put the hood over the back of my head, get all that hair contained, wrap it around, grab the loop and clip it onto the button. And there we go. Project complete. Ta-da! Thanks for watching.